Like I said,
It's
I'm
not.
like, last 2 days were really bad, and I woke up today and I was like, all right, I don't immediately feel like sneezing my face off. My cough feels better. I still feel tired, but at least I feel less tired than yes. Like I won't talk about it on the show, but I'm playing a lot of Balatro on
Mhm.
the Portal because I don't play my Portal super often, but it's really great where it's like, all right, I'm either gonna take a break, I'm gonna lay in bed, I'll play a little Balatro on the Portal, or I'm sick, I'm bored as hell. I'm gonna listen to an incredible song, over and over again for the next 2 hours, and
Yeah.
I'll sit here and play the Portal. So
Dude, I can't believe how much I really like the Portal. Like how
it's
much it
great.
fits into the how well it fits because we had talked about it when it was first coming out, where
Mm-hmm.
it's like it's a very kind of specific
Mm-hmm.
set of circumstances that you need to have to want to use this.
Right.
And my wife, especially now that she got Sims 4 back up and running,
Right.
since I've been playing Callisto a lot, I've had to play that on the Portal. And the one time, because she's like, "Well, I want you in here so we can kind of talk and whatever." And it's like, "So you want me to play that on the big screen that's this wall?"
Right.
And
It's
she's like,
very gory.
"Well, I've got things happening on these screens. I should be fine." And the one time she pops over because she wanted to shut off the fan, I
Mm-hmm.
was doing something horrific that even I was like, "Jesus Christ!" And she was like, "Can you just shut the fan off, please?"
You're over there like stomping, squish, squish, squish. And
Yeah,
she's
and
like,
it's like
oh no.
I will play it on the Portal again. It's fine.
Yeah, I'll hang out here in this comfy chair. I'll play on the Portal. Yeah.
uh,
It's been great. My only complaint about it is every firmware update takes about 3 years to complete.
I
Like
haven't updated it since the initial update.
I just had one that came when I turned it on yesterday. It's like, hey, there's a
Huh.
firmware update. And I was like, oh god, here we go. It was like
All right.
15 or 20 minutes of that
Jeez.
bar just like slowly 1% at a time crawling, and then it stopped at like 89% for 10 minutes. I was just like, oh my god, I just need to put this down, not even look at it. I'll check it in like 30 minutes. And it was done. It was like, yeah, we had updated. And I was like, okay, thanks.
I
Sheesh.
do. I don't really have any complaints with the game or with the thing.
Yeah,
Like, I don't know. It just. I do wish you could plug it into your PS5 and kind of use it like the Wii U tablet a little
sure,
bit.
yeah.
But that's just me being me
Right,
and
right.
knowing full well Sony's like, what the hell are you talking about now?
Yeah, the only thing I wish I could do on that too is I really wish I could install something like Moonlight so I could use that to
Mm,
stream stuff from my computer. Like I get why they don't do that, but having that, the screen looks really great. The controllers, I love the DualSense controller, so like having it there attached to the screen. I know I can pair that stuff to my phone and my phone can do it, but my phone isn't as big as the screen. It's not connected. It doesn't have the
yeah.
whole thing. Like,
And a lot of times with like the backbone thing that I was looking at, I'd have to take my phone out of the case every time I'd want to plug it into the backbone
right.
anyway.
I have a
So
backbone and I use that for a while, but the buttons are really clicky on it. I really hate clicky buttons because I'm playing it in bed at night a lot of times.
yeah,
Um, they have a new backbone that's coming out that they're like, oh, we made it specifically so you don't have to take the phone off your, or the case off your phone. And I'm like, well, that's great, but I'd have to buy another backbone at like $100 something, so
yeah.
I don't want to do that.
I take it back. I want them to do something with the touchpad that isn't the screen
Yeah, I wish
because
there
that
was a
every
way.
once in a while it doesn't work all the time on the screen.
Yeah, because like
What game
every
was
once
this
in a while
from?
you have to like, if you have to touch the touchpad in the game, like if you just have to push the touchpad,
Yeah,
you have to double tap the screen sometimes, and it sometimes doesn't work. It sometimes is weird. Like I get what they were going for, but it's like one of those rare cases where I wish I had the PSP back touch screen thing again,
yeah.
where it's like I just want to like tap the back of the screen again, but that had its own problems. So like I don't
But
know.
they could have at least added like extra buttons on the back to kind of
Right,
emulate the Vita a little bit, that way. But
right.
whatever. It's not a huge thing. There was only once because I think I can't remember what game I was playing, but it was definitely something that I had to use the touchpad to get the map open.
Yeah.
And like I remember reading, it's like, oh, well, tap the screen and it'll do it. And I'm like tapping the screen. I'm like, it's not doing anything. So then I'd have to go through the whole menus. And then I had read online somewhere about, oh yeah, you have to double tap on like the lower left or the lower right to, emulate.
And you get that little like
square.
ghost
yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, fine, whatever. But then I'm also the guy who doesn't want smudges on his screen.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, it's surprisingly well.
Yeah.
I'm happy with it.
Yeah, ditto.
But okay.
All right. Are you ready to get started?
Yes.
All right. Let's get started in 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to another episode of That Video Game Podcast, aka TVGP. I'm your host, Buster, and joining me as always is the Nymph.
Hello.
Moon is out on sick leave today. Send your best wishes to him for a speedy recovery. Let's do a speedy plug here for patreon.com/E1M1.
The ones are numbers.
Get all the stuff at the $5 or higher tier. That's the recommended one. You get the Outcast. It's the uncensored weekly episode where we're talking about all the stuff happening in our lives that isn't video game related. Talk about working out. Talking about UFO catchers, Infinity Stones, the PS Portal, Mountain Dew. We hit a whole ton of topics there this week. You get early access to Critical Misses and We Rogue Like It. You get exclusive access to the Critical Misses production meeting. And you get exclusive access to The Wayward Sons, which is the supernatural TV show watchcast that Moon and the Nymph are going through. They just turned in the final episodes of Season 2. That's all been scheduled. Stay tuned for whether or not they're going to keep traveling down that road towards Season 3.
If I remember right, we had a pretty big argument for a little bit while recording.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, some of those episodes are
being dumb. Yeah.
getting pretty lengthy. So, and reminder, we don't delete any of those episodes. So, if you want to hop in now, you can get all of the episodes of any of those shows in the backlog over there at patreon.com/E1M1.
The ones are numbers.
All right, Nymph, what have you been playing this past week?
All right, I only have 2 games to talk about, and the first one I'm going to talk about is Reynatis.
Oh yeah.
So, now that I've had more time with this game, I can actually go into what is this game about.
Right.
I currently have 10 hours into the game. That puts me at about chapter 14, and it looks like there's 33 chapters altogether.
Wow, okay.
A couple of people had said that this is about a 20-hour game, maybe sub, depending on how fast you go through it all.
That's not too bad.
Oh. So the story behind this game and what's happening in this world is magic is real. Mm-hmm. There are 2 main factions, at least in Japan, but also across the world there are different factions. But the ones that they're focusing on here is the one called the Magic Enforcement Administration and the Guild.
Oh, the Guild. I like that.
So these 2, basically, the MEA is the police force. They uphold the law and try to stop people from using magic illegally and make sure that they're not causing problems for the public. Whereas the Guild is attempting to advocate for wizard rights. There's a whole bunch of weird backstory. There's like a bunch of other things that got introduced with like this council that's supposed to be worldwide that no one really knows a whole lot about. That's stuff that just got touched on now that I don't even know what's happening with that. But the whole idea being that the MEA is supposed to be upholding the law and keeping the peace between normal people and wizards, and the Guild is basically just saying, hey, you're not treating us right. You know, we need to have better labor laws, basically. But neither one of them, as I'm finding out, are as great as their ideals are, because they're both just kind of, yeah, we have powers, we're just going to do whatever we want.
Right. Who's going to stop me?
Exactly. The MEA kind of considers anything outside of them to be illegal.
Okay.
So if you're just a wizard, that's illegal. If you get caught doing stuff in public, they're going to find you. They're going to arrest you. Exactly. And that's part. And the Guild's just always fighting with those authorities all the time, causing problems in Shibuya. That's where it mostly takes place in. So then you'll have these fights between these two. There's like this whole social like link system, or I'm sorry, not social link, but like this whole social system where people will go onto social media and be like, "Oh, did you see this fight?" They'll post pictures and all this stuff, and it's weird.
Social media is weird.
Yes, there is also technically a third unrepresented group, and this group is just basically, what do they call themselves? They don't really call themselves anything, but they did have a name, and I don't think I wrote it down. But basically, they're just like a faction of wizards who are like neutral. It's like, I don't agree with the authorities. I don't agree with the guild. Just leave me alone.
We're gray
like, I'm
wizards. Leave me alone.
Yeah, it's like, I'm not doing anything out in the public. I'm not doing anything to you guys. Just, I don't want to be a part of this.
I'm
I
just
want
trying to do my
life.
job at the bank. Like, come on.
Yeah. So your character is pretty much that third faction, unaffiliated with anybody. For whatever reason, he just wants to be the most powerful wizard in an anime sense, and he just, that's all he cares about. He doesn't want to interact with people. He doesn't want to deal with people. He just wants to keep honing his craft and getting better.
Okay.
As you play this, each chapter has been split into like kind of two sections, where in the beginning you were playing as the authorities. Once you complete their goals, it switches over to this person who is the unaffiliated, and
this
you're
Kingdom Hearts looking
their
dude.
goal. Yeah. Oh yeah, there's a lot of Kingdom Hearts and was it World Ends With You stuff in here. So when you're playing with the police, you start out the chapter with two missions. There's usually a main and a submission, and you can find submissions as you continue playing through that chapter. You can find them out in the world.
Okay.
You as the police can run around in your altered state, your wizard state, where you're all flashy and glowy and stuff. And I completely forgot to look up what this mode is called again, but this is that fight and defense mode that I was talking about last week in the battle system. As the police, you can run around in that mode, no problem. Nobody cares. And it's great because you move faster in that mode.
Yeah.
When you play as the unaffiliated, as soon as you switch over to that mode, everyone starts busting out their cameras and taking pictures of you, and then you start getting like a rating.
Oh.
And this rating is basically how many hits people have been getting of you on social media, and it starts at 10 and works its way down to 1. And as it gets closer to 1, the authorities start taking notice, and they'll start sending people after you.
Interesting. Okay.
And so once it gets to 1, you're getting like the elite force sent at you.
It's like GTA's 5 stars.
Yes. It is super simple to reset your thing. All you have to do is fast travel to a different map, and it resets.
Oh, okay.
So, but it is a pain when you're trying to do a mission as the unaffiliated, and you're running through an area, and you get stopped by a random person, a random wizard who wants to fight you.
Okay.
So then you can choose to fight, or you can choose to just run away. But I always fight because it's easy experience. But now I have to warp out of the map I was just in and then warp back into it, so that way I can actually do the goal that I was there to do.
Sure.
So there's a little bit of that. But when you're playing as the police, it's usually something like, hey, there's been a disturbance at like this section of the city. Go check it out. You go and do that. You complete whatever main goal they gave you, and then it will switch over to the other guy. And the other guy's main goal is, like I said, to get powerful. But the way he's doing that is there's these fog gates that are randomly spread out throughout Shibuya. You need a certain spell to be able to open these. And to open them, he starts out with one of the spells, and he finally finds the fog gate that opens up when he uses it. It's basically just a spell passcode to open up a gate to go in there. So when you open up a fog gate, it sends you into literally another, which is what they call these. It's another world. And it's just a linear track of you running through this forest or a desert or whatever. You fight enemies, you get to the end, there's another gate, there's a boss, you fight the boss, you open the gate, you get your next spell passcode, and then you've beaten that section.
Okay.
And then you're back out into the main world. Rinse and repeat for both. You're constantly doing that until you get to the point where I'm at, where someone gets betrayed. Both of these teams are now working together, but they're not fully compliant. So one group has a set of bomb collars on their
Oh
necks.
boy. Okay.
So they go full anime.
Yeah, man.
It's like, all right, cool. So we're getting to interesting points in the story with this a little bit, but the whole other background thing with all of this, how wizards come into this world, is there is what they call legacy, which is like old families that have like some sort of bloodline that anyone born in that family has magic.
Mm.
I don't know if there's a difference between, you know, power and strength and all this crap. I don't know. They don't really get into it. But normal people can become wizards two different ways. One is if they have a near-death experience. If they survive the actual experience, 9 times out of 10, they will come back as a wizard.
Mm.
If you take a drug called, what was it, Rudrum?
Yeah,
I
keep seeing them mention it here.
Yeah.
Keep talking. I'll be back in just a second.
Yep, no problem. If you take this drug, this will also give you ability to use magic. However, the drawback is that it's 100% addictive, and it will eventually turn you into a monster, which then the authorities are tasked with destroying said monster. So a mix between the authorities and the guild are trying to get rid of this illicit drug that's being passed around the world. So that's kind of the whole back-end story with what's going on with this game. Once you get your sub-quests and your main quests, you will be slowly getting rid of what's called malice in the game. There's a little percentage bar on the bottom of your screen that tells you, hey, this is at 100% malice. As you complete it, it'll drop it down like 1%, maybe 2%, and then you'll start to see the wizard around the world, which is like basically it's street graffiti. A lot of it's really cool. From my understanding, a lot of this is based off of the World Ends With You artists. But as you drop the percentage of malice down, you will start to see these start to pop up throughout the world, and you can interact with them. They all do different things. Some of them will give you more experience, some will give you money, and some will give you active and passive skills that you can use. So as you get the malice down, as you start to find more of this wizard street graffiti, you start to unlock higher and higher levels of this so that you can end up getting more money and more experience on the spot, or you start getting stronger attacks or stronger passives. I have a passive right now equipped on all of my characters that increases the experience that they get after battle by 25%.
That's the good stuff.
Yes, so it makes leveling go a lot faster. So yeah, that's pretty much everything. Is like you complete a bunch of subs, you drop the malice, you look for more of this art, you get more passives, you get more experience, you get more money, and then you continue on with the game. I am not at a point where I've really needed to use the money. So far, I can go into like restaurants and get food, so I can use for, they're basically like potions and stuff like that, but they're actual food. Or I can go to vending machines and basically get the same thing, where it's like something curative item, whatever. But I haven't really, I found a lot of stuff that I've had to use more of that instead of buying. Like I haven't had to need to buy anything yet.
Oh, sure.
It sounds like, because I have materials that I've been getting too that I haven't had to use for anything, but it sounds like there may be a shop opening up in a couple of chapters where I'll be able to use the money and the materials for something else.
Okay.
My guess is that some of the skills that you get, you can level them up to level 3, and then it says, hey, you can continue to level this to 4 and 7, but it's capped right now. So my guess is that you may be able to recreate those in the shop with materials and money, just break that cap and level them up higher.
Sure.
So we'll find out. It's been interesting. I know a lot of people have issues with this game. It is definitely a B tier game.
Yeah.
They were not hiding that. So I've been finding a lot of people who have been complaining about this. We're expecting this to be like a AAA game, and it's like, no.
It's not Persona 5, dude.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to tell you.
Yeah, so I'm here for the dorkiness and the stupid stuff with social media in here.
Yeah.
One of the party members keeps taking a picture of everything that's happening, but she doesn't have an actual account. She just likes to act like she has one. You know, whatever. So yes, Reynatis. It has been a fun game for me so far.
Nice.
My last game is Callisto Protocol. This will be kind of quick. I am on chapter 6, which they call Below.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to do anything story-wise for this game. There's a lot of people complain there's not a whole lot of story to begin with. It's fine.
Sure.
But I'm at a point where you are below the prison, and you're in an old colony that used to be there back in the time when they were going to terraform the moon.
Mm-hmm.
And weird things have been happening, and now this has turned into like a weird a Last of Us part.
Oh, okay.
I am fighting things that can't see you but are super sensitive to sound.
Mm.
And I have a bunch of shotgun ammo, so I've been really loud in this area. But my complaint last time was you only have like 6 inventory slots.
Mm-hmm.
Well, eventually you get a spacesuit, and that spacesuit opens up 6 more, so you have 12 slots in total.
Okay.
But there's so much room between the stores for you to sell and upgrade your stuff that it's like you still get filled up on stuff quite a bit. And I use mostly my baton. That thing I've got fully maxed out. I think I'm just missing the skill where it's like you block it, it does a little bit of damage to the enemy back. Other than that, like it's doing max damage and it's breaking things everywhere anytime I swing it. The pistol that you start out with, I have that, and it's got the attachment where it's like you pop off the pistol part and you add the shotgun variant to it. I've got those fairly upgraded, and then I actually got the riot shotgun. Got that mostly upgraded, and I just unlocked a tactical pistol, which I haven't made because I don't want more weapons because I'm always running up against not having enough space for things.
Oh, sure.
So I've actually started, in an interesting turn of events, I've actually started using my firearms more in this game instead of hoarding the ammo.
Right.
Because 9 times out of 10, I have so much ammo that it's like I'm either selling it or I have to drop it so I can pick up the thing that's actually of value that I am meant to sell so I can get upgrades and things.
Right.
So it's really weird. I wish they gave you more inventory slots or something.
Mm-hmm.
But outside of that, though, the story's been fine for me. Like nothing makes sense. You know, good old fashioned horror sci-fi of some dude who's thinks he's holier than thou and moving on the progression of the next human evolution, whatever.
That's right. We could do so much more.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm just figuring out what's going on with these new things that can't see. I've been doing a lot of stabbing people in the back too. I just got a trophy for that earlier today. Since they can't see, I just kind of walk up behind them and stab them. And it's like, all right, cool, let's move on to the next one. So it's still fun. It's still horror filled. I don't like it. Everyone who loves Dead Space is like, this game is not scary at all. I'm like, well, I'm good for you, but I don't enjoy it all the way. So
good for you, but I'm still scared.
Yeah, it's not Dead Space scary. I do feel it is more action oriented.
Sure.
But yeah, I don't enjoy playing it in a dark room by myself. So. But that's it, Callisto Protocol. I mean, it's fitting the October theme of horror survival games.
Right.
So I haven't had a jump scare this week yet. So maybe next week. Yeah. But that's all I've been playing this week. It's just been, I mean, I did Bowl. That's technically a game. I played an arcade game. That's gaming.
That's true. Yeah.
That's about all I did.
All right. I platinumed Astrobot.
Ooh, nice.
I still had like 5 or 6 or 7 trophies, something like that, to go. And I thought, all right, I feel myself kind of being done with Astrobot. Let's see how long it's going to take me to complete all these trophies. Turns out the answer to that was about an hour. So that wasn't bad at all. A lot of them were in the crash site where all your characters live, and like the big PS5 spaceship and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So many of the trophies in the game are get a character and have them be in the crash site, and then get their item from the gacha machine, and then go interact with them. And when you do that, then you'll get a trophy. Like one of the examples I like the most was the prince from Katamari. He gets his Katamari ball as his item, and he's just kind of like rolling it in place. When you go up and you smack him, he rolls the ball in a circle, but if you're in the way, he rolls you up into the ball, and
Oh, okay.
that's a trophy. And it's like, it's all kind of like fun stuff you'll run into normally. It's just the last one I had, and the last trophy I had to get was Kiryu from the Yakuza games, and he's you can punch him and like a Yakuza thing will fall out of him. I had to hit him like 15 or 20 times for all of this stuff to come out of him, and then I got the trophy. There were some other small ones of like go do find 3 golden eggs in one of these like PlayStation levels. The only one I had to look up was one of them said like defeat 2 wormies at once, and I was like, I don't even know what wormies are or how to do that. There's actually this level where you get these like spring-loaded boxing gloves basically,
Oh yeah.
and you can shoot them out by pulling either L2 or R2. It will do your left or right hand. Basically, you have to find these 2 worm enemies that you shoot your like boxing glove into their mouth and you pull them out of the ground. Basically, I had to go to the one level that has 2 next to each other, hit them both at the same time, and pull them out of the ground at the same time. I was like, oh, okay. I would have never known
Got
to
to
do
do
that
that.
by myself,
Yeah.
but it took me like maybe all of 30 seconds to do. So that's what I like about. You can say a lot of stuff about first or second party PlayStation stuff, but I do really like that even if you do or don't care about platinum trophies, or you do or don't care about or like trophies in general, the platinum trophy or most of these trophies are going to either be really easy or really straightforward.
Yeah.
I'm not one of the guys that's like the sanctity of a platinum. It needs to be the most difficult. I really don't care. Like, I think I like how especially the Spider-Man games do it too, where it's like you should probably do like 75% of this game, and you'll probably get the platinum trophy. It's like, that's great. I don't have to. I don't want to scour every little pixel of this New York map that you've made to get every single, piece of whatever. Like, I don't. But I interacted with all of the, like, most of the mechanics and most of the stuff in the game. That's cool. I feel like I did enough stuff to earn the platinum.
Honestly, I feel like trophies should really work towards the particular game that they're tied to.
Yes.
Like, they should add something to it, not be like you were saying, it's like, oh yeah, get this pixel perfect thing. Unless you're playing a game that the whole objective is to be pixel perfect, like
Right.
like Sekiro.
Right.
Trophies for that. Yeah, sure, make it hard. The game's difficult,
Mhm.
kind of thing. Playing Ratchet and Clank, trophies aren't that difficult for that. I shouldn't have
Right.
Sekiro level trophies tied to like Astro's Playroom. It doesn't make
Exactly.
sense. So
Yeah.
it should reflect the gameplay. Maybe have you think outside of how you've been playing it a little bit, but
Right. Torek in chat puts it the great way. Platinum trophies shouldn't kill your enjoyment of the game. Exactly.
it
Like,
should add to it.
we've all been, susceptible to these games of just like, oh yeah, I'm going to go for the platinum. I only need to do like 30 more hours. No big deal. And by the end, you're like, I never want to see this game for the rest of my life. I loved this game at some point, and now I really don't.
There should never be RNG trophies ever.
Right. Yeah, we've mostly done away with multiplayer trophies. That's great. Let's do away with some of those. So I like excuse me. I forgot to mention at the beginning, I'm also getting over a cold, so excuse me.
Yeah.
I also like that the PlayStation, like first and second party PlayStation games, are sort of like, there's stuff like the Last of Us games that are like, yeah, play it on whatever their brutal difficulty mode is, and don't have your save deleted when you die or something like that. Like, that's okay.
Yeah.
But I like that the majority of them are like, yeah, just like play the game and play a whole bunch of it and just kind of see everything that there is to see. So
Craft 25 times and you just unlock like 3 trophies. Cool.
yeah,
It's
I'm okay with that. So again, Astrobot is really great. I think they said their DLC is coming out in the fall, and it'll have has like a handful of new bots. There's a Helldivers 2 bot in there that's really good.
There's supposed to be a Stellar Blade bot too,
Yeah,
isn't
there's
there?
a Stellar
Yeah.
Blade. What's her what is the main character's name? Eve?
Eve. Yeah.
Yeah, there's an Eve bot, which is I think is really funny. And I think they said that they were going to put in some of the speedrun levels because those were really popular for Playroom. Of
Yeah.
just like here's some specifically designed speedrun levels. Go compete with your friends. If a friend beats your time, it pops up in your dashboard about like, hey, are you gonna stand for this? This dude beat your time. It's like, nope, I'm not. Let's fire up
The
Astro.
honor of your family.
That's right. So enjoyed a lot of that. Played a lot of UFO 50 this week. I finished my first game. I finished Pilot Quest. This is the one where it's the idle game that
Yeah.
you also is like a Star Tropics sort of thing. I was way closer to the ending of that game than I thought, which is kind of fun because I had already done all of the upgrades. So finishing out the rest of that game was pretty trivial, which is pretty fun. The game now does have me going through new game plus to power up your character quite a bit, which is interesting. One of the more essentially there are three stats you can upgrade when you start a new run. One of them is basically like you get more time from meat. It takes less time to generate stuff, like the stuff that's being generated automatically. And then the one that I like the most is you take 10% less time damage when you get hit. And all of that is kind of moving towards getting the cherry. Did I talk about this last week with the gold and cherry
Yes.
things? So again, when you beat the game, you get a gold cartridge. When you do something kind of above and beyond that, your cartridge has a red kind of outline on it that you quote unquote cherried it. That's a cherry goal. To cherry this game, you basically need to beat an extra boss 6 or 7 times. I don't remember which one it is.
Wow.
In the same run, and then pick up the thing that they drop, and then finish the game. So a lot of people are like, oh yeah, you can do that on your very first run. You just have to do X, Y, and Z thing and farm for this and do that. And I was like, I don't see our conversation about the platinum from like literally 2 minutes ago.
It's like anytime you look up like a trophy guide and everyone's like, oh yeah, you can do this in your first run. You just have to prep this,
Yeah,
this,
it's just
this,
2
and
hours,
this.
200
It's like,
hours long.
I'll,
It's like,
I'll just play it twice. It's fine.
yeah, so like because this game progresses in the background while you're playing other games, there's really no, and it is pretty short, there's no real downside to just rolling over to a new game and like doing the new game plus benefit. And then you already know how to get all the stuff. Like you know where all the dungeons are, you know how to beat all the bosses, like you know how to do everything in the game. So you can do it so much faster now that I like rolled a new game. I got to the point where the game is sort of largely self-sufficient, and then went back to playing other stuff. So like it's I'm not going to worry too much about, super min-maxing my first run. That's not really what I'm here for. I'll get it eventually. I did play a bunch of where's this? No, that's not it. Here we go. I did play a bunch more Valbrace. That's that first-person dungeon crawling punch-out thing. I had to restart this game. I didn't have to. I restarted the game. I was only on like floor 2, I think, because I didn't realize that on every floor there's a throne that when you have enough essence, you essentially get a little bit of essence every time you defeat an enemy. It's kind of experience, but not really. When you go sit on the throne, it'll say like, oh, if you have 200 essence, you can upgrade your character. And you get 3 points to upgrade across 3 different strength, constitution, and wisdom. You can put it into whichever category you really want. You get to choose. I didn't realize there was one of those on each floor. So I had missed one on a floor. So the equipment I was finding, I couldn't really equip. And I was like, okay, I just got to start the whole thing back over.
Yeah.
And now I know on every single floor, you uncover and you explore every single tile. And like really get absolutely everything you can on each floor. So I'm kind of back at the second floor now in a way better position than I was in my previous run. So
You're gonna start to do Etrian Odyssey with this, where you got your little graph.
I'm like pretty close. Thankfully, there's a spell in the game where you can display a map, but it's only a certain portion of the map. It's basically like where you are and maybe like 10 tiles either way. So it's not, it's serviceable, but it's not, everything that you would really want to do. So I've also been playing more Grimstone, which is the JRPG. I saw somebody today say, yeah, it's a Western RPG. And I was like, I wish I had thought of that one. It is a Western RPG. Man. I didn't realize, I had to look up what one of my party members did. They have a skill. I was essentially like studying the enemies, but it never seemed to really work. So I had to look it up. Turns out that's the Blue Mage equivalent. And it only works on 4 or 5 enemies in the game, but each time you study them and you kind of win the dice roll, essentially, you get the enemy's skill. So that makes that character class way more impressive and way stronger. And a lot of what I've been doing in that game is just grinding, because that game is hard. So a lot of it is just, I'm here fighting a bunch of rats out in the desert. I've started going through the first dungeon. And they're like, yeah, go into this mine and recover the tools for me so I can rebuild this bridge. And I was like, yeah, sure. I'm beating everything around here. Why don't I just go do that? I got smoked. Like I was not ready at all. So I got to do a lot more grinding. I got to write down this show title. The last game I've been playing here is Mini and Max. This is the sort of Metroidvania 2D platforming thing where you're growing larger and smaller. I really don't want to spoil this game. It turns out it is way, way, way bigger than I had thought originally. I keep finding so many new ridiculous things that I'm getting into. I was like, I wonder if I do this thing and I go over there, what do I do? Oh, cool! I've got a new item. Okay, cool. What does that do? Oh, it opens up a whole new facet of this game. Okay, incredible. Sure. This is easily one of the most standout games of UFO 50, which I know sounds pretty ridiculous because there's 50 incredible games in here, but the game just turns out to be way, way bigger and way more creative than I was giving it credit for originally, in a way that is really, really refreshing. It feels like one of those games that someone made it and maybe sold it for $15 on Steam, and it's like one of the biggest indie games of the year. And it's just part of this $25 UFO 50 thing that, has 49 other incredible games in it as well. So I think UFO 50 is really great. I also finished the super tiny spoiler here. I finished the metagame stuff this week. That was really fascinating. I really liked the sort of overall trip it took you on. I really wish I could talk about more of it, but I really don't want to spoil it because I think so much of the fun of that, not only the fun of UFO 50, is to take it back a step. Some of the most fun of UFO 50 for me is each of these games feels like a game you borrowed from Blockbuster that didn't have an instruction manual with them. It just had like, some teenager wrote, "Oh, the A button does this, the B button does that, whatever."
Yeah.
It's a video game.
And
Who cares?
Sharpie inside the box. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So like, so many of these games you start playing and you're like, "What am I supposed to do?" And you like play once or twice and you're like, "Oh, okay, yeah. If I do this and this, then okay, that's how I win." And then you kind of figure out like the techniques as you go through, and you're like, "Oh, I didn't even know you could combine these two things and do that. Okay, cool." So it's like this element of discovery, not only with the games themselves, but figuring out how you can get better with these games sort of as you go and as you play them more often. And I really like that, and I really like how each one of these games kind of continues to unfold like that. And I felt like that's how the meta game went as well. My only thing for UFO 50 is, and I don't know how this is going to sound, but I'm not sure how much more, like how deep I want to go into UFO 50 on the PC version, because at some point next year they're supposed to have it out on consoles. It is sort of the like, we're aiming for 2025 is what they're saying.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, do you spend a whole ton of time with it on PC and, cherry and gold all of these games and do it again, when it comes to PS5? Or do I just do it over there and like say, "Oh, I've got the platinum in UFO 50, which is kind of an accomplishment in and of itself." So I'm not sure. It's also tough because there's still like 45 games I want to play this year, and there's a bunch that just haven't even come out yet, one of which I'll talk about next year. But like, it's 2024 has been an embarrassment of riches, and it's like, how much do I want to kind of stay in one game and continue to play that? I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, that's kind of the issue I've been having. That's why I had to stop playing Resident Evil Village, because like I'm really enjoying this, but I got other games as well. I got a fat stack of games from last year. I got Baldur's Gate 3 to still get to. Last year's game of the year.
Right.
Not probably getting to it this year either.
No, probably not. But yeah, so it's sort of tough because UFO 50 is really great, and I feel like I'm sort of at the point where if I want to get more gold cartridges, if I want to get some cherry cartridges, I feel like I need to focus on one game at a time and kind of master each one. So you look at a lot of the gold challenges and you're like, "Oh, that's not so bad." But I do kind of have to focus on this specific one. I really have to work at this one to get a mastery of this game before I move on to the next one. So
yeah,
I don't know. UFO 50 is really great. I think even with as much as I have dug into it, I think it's easily, one of the standout titles for this year. And no matter sort of who you are or what games you like to play, there's probably at least a handful of games in this thing that you're really going to like. So UFO 50, super cool. Last game I have here is Metaphor Fantazio. The demo for this came out, which I do appreciate. The game did pronounce its title, so I can say it is Metaphor Fantazio, which I greatly appreciate. I've only played this demo for like an hour and a half or 2 hours, and I feel like I'm barely scratching the surface.
It's a 4-hour-long demo.
Yeah, it's pretty meaty.
My son played the whole thing.
Oh, that's pretty impressive.
It took him a couple days.
Yeah, I'm on to like essentially the second main dungeon here. The first dungeon really is your tutorial dungeon for moving around and fighting enemies and the battle system and all that. So far, I'm really enjoying it. I One of the big reasons I really enjoy it is they are taking what is essentially the press turn system from the SMT games, and they put it over here. For anyone that doesn't play Atlas games, press turn system is essentially you have X number of actions you can take in a battle. It's your kind of normal thing. Like, you have two party members. You can have two actions you take. First party member will do one, other one can do it, and then the enemies attack. But if you take advantage of an enemy's weakness, in the SMT games, you'll get an extra action. In this one, you essentially take a half an action. So instead of spending one action point, you spend a half a point. When you boil it down, it's pretty much the same thing, but they're just sort of calling it by a different name here. So I really like that. I really like sort of sneaking up on enemies and hitting them a couple times before you start the battle to get an advantage. And then when you get into a battle, if you have an advantage, you hit them, I think it's at least once or twice for free, essentially. And then at that point, it's largely just like Persona as an SMT. Like if you've played any of Atlas's games in probably the last 10 years, it's essentially the same thing.
Now, if you hit an enemy with something they're fully resistant to, do you fully lose out on your turns, or have you come across that yet?
I haven't come across it, but the tooltip or the tutorial menu is just like, if you hit them with something that they're not weak to, either it's just like a normal attack or they're resistant to it, it still only takes one action point. So you only really get a benefit if you hit a weakness.
What? Maybe that's their ultra hard difficulty.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, because they have some
harder difficulty.
they have some. I don't remember what the name is in this. It had some lore. It's some sort of regal sounding name for this. I do have to give the game a lot of credit. I am playing in English. English voice acting so far has across the board been really great. A lot of British voice actors because it's an RPG. That's just sort of what happens. The writing so far has been really great. The game just kind of dumps you into the game and tosses a bunch of, magical RPG terms at you. There's a really good codex in the game, which they call the Memorandum, I think it is. But basically, you can open it at any time, and if you open it when a character is mentioning a term for the first time, sort of does the visual novel thing of like, oh, you hit, I think it's like down on the D-pad to open it. It opens it on the term that the character is talking about. So it's a lot of like, oh, you can cast magic with this magic thing. You open it and it's like, oh, here's 3 or 4 pages about what this thing is, how they make it, how it makes you cast magic, and all that stuff. So
yeah.
So far it's been really, really good. Performance so far has been really great. I'm playing on PS5. I'm sorry, to clarify, playing the PS5 version on PS5. I'm not playing the PS4 version. The performance has been really good. I hit some frame drops in the first dungeon, the kind of like castle tutorial area. That's the only frame drops I've really run into overall. But that hasn't been one of those things where it's like, it's 60 and now it's 23 or anything like that. It's just, there's a lot of stuff happening on screen, so it just dropped down a little bit. So far, story has been pretty interesting, even though it's been a lot of like, we can't talk about why we're doing what we're doing. That will come up later. You very much have like your Persona Awakening scene at the beginning where you transform into this big thing that has a big like suit of armor and use magic that nobody's used in 100 years.
Exactly.
That sort of
the chosen one.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, you can use magic you shouldn't be able to use. I was like, yeah, that's me. So far, it's checking a lot of boxes that if you like Atlas's RPGs, you're probably going to like this, but I think you probably knew that already because it seems like it's a combination of a whole bunch of different types of games that Atlas has been making. You know,
Yeah.
it
It's a bunch of different ideas shoved in here that look like they work together really well.
yeah, like a lot of the like combined attacks sort of stuff. It looks like it just forged essentially my first social link. Apparently there's a job system in here that I just haven't even gotten
Mm-hmm.
to yet. So it seems like there's a lot of really cool stuff in here that I'm kind of interested to keep unfolding, and uh, uh, I I'm excited to carry over this stuff into the final game. Torik in chat says, "I need to point out we just watched the player defeat a sapient tooth."
Yeah.
Yeah, I. One of the things that I think is really interesting is this is a fantasy RPG, so it's not like a modern day thing like a lot of the SMT and Persona games have been lately. It is like a high fantasy magic and elves and dragons and stuff. One of the things that I think is interesting is the game kind of starts out with this like really rote sort of like, well, you play as one of these characters and all the rest of the races really hate you, and ooh, racism, you know, that kind of normal. Usually it's
Racism, slavery, and blah,
exactly
blah, blah.
like
Yeah.
usually it's like, oh, the elves are enslaved, racism, but fantasy. The thing that's really interesting is for the longest time I didn't see any humans. It was all kind of your normal fantasy, like, oh, these are elves, these look like cat people, you know, this race has horns and stuff like that. When you run into humans for the very first time, they're these monstrous, huge abominations. And one's like, no, it's a human, they're coming for us. And it's this huge boss fight to run into a human that's not just like Bob from accounting. It's this real abomination of a boss, which I thought was kind of interesting because the game, your main character is reading this fantasy book, and the fantasy book really looks like all the humans live in New York and there are no different
Yeah, their fantasy is our reality kind of thing.
yeah, very much. And like there's only one type of people, and like everybody is equal, and skyscrapers that reach to the heavens and things like that. I'm like, okay, this is kind of interesting, a little bit of like kind of changing here.
Yeah.
So it's been really interesting to see, like, it's not just like you and the rest of the humans that are fighting to save the fantasy racism and show everybody that elves are just like us, you know, not that sort of thing. So it's cool. I'm really excited to see where it's going to go. It's coming out at quite possibly the worst time this year, otherwise known as this week. So
Yeah.
I don't know when I'm going to be able to get to playing it. I've apparently got enough, you know, hours here in the demo to look forward to. So I don't know. Metaphor Re Fantazio sounds really cool. I was hoping to get through the whole demo here before really talking about it, but I've only played an hour and a half or 2 hours, and I barely feel like I'm scratching the surface here, which is probably you know, a good sign for the game itself when it comes out.
We just need a bad year.
Yeah.
Video games can just not come out in a year.
Especially RPGs. 2024 has just been the year of like, yep, here's another 100-hour
Which
RPG.
is sad, because we went through a whole drought where it's like we barely got anything, and now we've gotten like, what, 10, 12? And we're like,
There's
too much.
So many
too much.
Yeah.
And they're all good.
Yeah, gosh, yeah. All right, that's all the games I'm playing this week. Let's take a break. Just gotta blow my nose real quick.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, I have a week coming off that I just took off, and I'm not doing anything. I'm just
into some JRPGs.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just playing. That's why I may change my mind after this podcast, but I haven't pre-ordered that game yet.
I haven't either.
Because I'm like, I don't have time. It will be bought, but I don't have time, and I don't feel like this is going to be a game where I can't find it in a month or two.
Yeah, like that's... I'm still really trying to shake off the Atlas thing of like, it's an Atlas game. You have to pre-order the physical version. You're never gonna see it again. You
Yeah.
blink and all of the 2,000 units they printed, they're gone, and you're buying it on eBay 2 weeks later for $2,500. Like
Mhm.
that's not really Atlas anymore for big releases like this, at least.
Yeah.
But I still
NIS
want to
is still that
support.
way on some stuff.
Yeah,
But
NIS
yeah.
is like that NIS and there's like one other one that I was still, but I'm trying to figure out like, it's not a Persona game, so do I need to purchase a copy to kind of toss my support in the ring,
Yeah.
or is it going to do well enough that, because I still want Atlas to make cool RPGs, because nine
Yeah.
times out of 10 they make a cool RPG and they make really great stuff. But like, I know when Persona 6 comes out in like 25 years, I won't need to support that because that will do really well.
Yeah,
But
everyone knows what Persona is now, but they didn't like back when a few years ago, maybe a
right,
decade ago when 4 came out again.
yeah,
Because there were still people who were like, "Oh yeah, I'm playing Persona 4 Golden on the Vita," and everyone's like, "What's Persona?" I
right.
was
What
like,
is
"Come
that?
on."
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I was even when Persona 3 came out, I was like, this looks pretty cool. I have never played 1 and 2, but yeah, let's check this thing out. Yeah, I don't know. Wild times.
Yep.
RPGs. All right, are you ready to do this next part?
Yes, I am.
I don't have any news stories because I am not feeling well. I didn't want
That's
to
fine.
extend this too much longer. Plus, we have literally, what is it, 2.5 pages of releases? 2 full
Yeah,
pages
there's
of
a
releases.
lot coming out this week, and a lot of it I want to play.
Yeah. All right, let's get started in 3, 2, 1. Let's talk releases for the week of October 7th, 2024. Kind Words 2, parenthetically, Lo-Fi City Pop, comes out PC, OS X, and Linux. This is the sequel to Kind Words. That was the game where you're writing kind notes to actual other people. And
Oh, okay.
shockingly, nobody seemed to have really abused that in the first game. I think myself and a lot of other people were like, okay, let's see when someone breaks this and abuses it completely. And it didn't seem like that happened. It seemed like there was everybody was kind of cool on the internet for once, which is shocking in a very positive way.
Yeah.
So they're making a new one. Looks like they kind of expanded the scope a little bit. First one really seemed to be you're in your room and you're just writing encouraging or kind notes to other people that are actual real humans. This one seems to be you have that still at the core of the game, but you can go out and explore the city, meet some people outside, do a little bit of like light exploration adventure stuff. So
Yeah.
it seems if you liked that first one, it's that and a little bit more on top. So that's Kind Words 2, Lo-Fi City Pop. Next up, very similar game, Diablo 4 Vessel of Hatred, comes out
Yep.
PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Series consoles, and PC.
Nothing but love and happy thoughts.
Yeah, absolutely. Just the sunshiniest game out there. There's a brand new region, kind of looks like a bayou swampy area. There's a new class, the Spiritborn. They're bringing back mercenaries. It looks like it's a similar system. I don't think it's exactly the same as the one in Diablo 3, but it looks like it's kind of a similar
Yeah,
system.
that was something hard to try to figure out because they kept going back and forth on, oh, it's closer to 2, it's closer to 3, and I'm like, the ones
Right.
in 2 and 3 were really different from each other. So, but yeah, I've actually recently, before I even knew this was happening, I've been thinking, it's like I should probably get back in Diablo 4 and see where they're at with updates because I haven't touched it in a while.
Yeah, and they just put out another huge patch where they're like, okay, we're completely fixing how gear works. We're squishing the
Yeah.
gear and we're redoing all the stats and we're redoing how all this stuff managed. And I was like, okay, like, that's great. I'm happy you're like bringing back torment levels, which is really great. Like, they seem like they're really swinging a lot of the systems back closer to Diablo 3, which
Yeah.
I think is smart because Diablo 3 is in a really solid place. Of course it has like 20 years of development, but for me at least, Diablo 4 kind of was swinging too far away from what I liked
Yeah.
about how Diablo 3 played and functioned. So, which
So I
I
was gonna say
get,
too,
but
because I went back and platinum Diablo 3 before 4 came out,
right.
and I was kind of surprised at how completely different 4 felt,
Mm-hmm.
and how not as well put together as it is. And
Right.
I understand that it's a whole different game,
Right.
and they have slightly different systems. But I mean, like, it's Diablo. Like,
Right.
you
Right.
point on a thing and you kill it. Like, come on.
Yeah. Yeah, so I've been thinking the same thing too, but like I'm waiting for people to, because I feel like when that big expansion came up for Diablo 3, the 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 chorus really was, "Hey, this is probably the time to hop into Diablo 3. Like it's finally in a better spot." I'm curious to see now that this is coming out for 4, they're moving to like season 6 or 7 or whatever. They've had a ton of huge kind of foundational patches.
Yeah.
Is it in a spot now where it's a good time to come back if you didn't click with it at the beginning? So I'm not
Yeah,
sure
because
yet.
this update is $39.99.
That's
Or not update, I'm sorry, this
the
DLC.
DLC. That's pretty
Yeah.
expensive, man.
Yeah, and that's kind of my thing too. It's like I'm more interested in having mercenaries again. That's something that I
Right.
felt was sorely missing from 4,
Yep.
especially with the difficulty of the game. Like, it's surprisingly difficult in a lot of weird ways,
Mm-hmm.
and having that extra person around to help you out
Yep.
could help mitigate that. But I don't know if I want to pay $40 so I can
Yeah,
have,
40 bucks
you know.
is a lot. Yeah.
But
So
I don't.
we'll
We'll see.
see.
Maybe reviews come out and everyone's like, "Yeah, this is it. This is great."
Yeah,
It's like,
this
okay,
is the
maybe I'll.
Diablo 4 you wanted. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Hopefully.
yeah.
Yeah. Next up here, Silent Hill 2 comes out PS5 and PC. This is the Bloober Team remake of Silent Hill 2.
And
And
will not be purchasing this game.
no, yeah, too spooky for
I
me.
know. Yeah, I know. I said spooky season, but no, this
No,
is
yeah.
far beyond.
I do have to say, I'm really surprised at how glowing all of the reviews have been coming out of this, because I think so much of Bloober Team's past games have been, yeah, they're okay, but you know, they have like one foundational problem or another, or like that's a really good idea, but it just kind of didn't come together, or boy, that's a real B game. You know,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. And I think everyone was really bracing for the worst with like, oh, you're gonna remake Silent Hill 2, like one of the most beloved like horror sort of things of all time. Okay, sure, like good luck, but it seems like they so far they've kind of nailed it. So
Good.
curious to see here what a lot of people think, but reviews across the board have all been like 9s and 10s, so that's good. Hopefully Silent Hill fans, spooky fans, hopefully you enjoy it. Like
So
we
I
said,
know they've been rabid for something good for a while. So
especially for Silent Hill. Like Silent
Yeah.
Hill's been pretty quiet. So next game here, Amber Isle, comes out on PC. This comes out on Switch on the 31st of this month. It's published by Team 17. It's a kind of cute town/shop management game featuring adorable dinosaurs. And very much like, hey, you can run your own store and stock your wares and set your prices and make friends with other cute dinos, rebuild the island, that sort of thing. So I think if you're into that sort of genre of game, this seems like it's pretty cool here. So that's Amber Isle. Go check that out. Next game here is The Last Time I Saw You comes out PS5, Series Console, Switch, and PC. This is a 2D side-scrolling kind of action adventure. It says it's a coming-of-age narrative adventure game. It says takes place in an imagined vision of late 80s Japan. Excuse me.
Okay.
It seems like it's one of those kind of story-based platforming kind of coming-of-age drama things. Really interesting style, really cool animation. If you're able to, really highly recommend checking out a trailer for this. It looks, I hadn't heard about it until I was doing show notes this week, but looks like a pretty cool, unique sort of thing. So that's called Last Time I Saw You. Next game here, Sky Ocean's Wings for Hire. Comes out PS5, Series Console, Switch, and PC. It says it's a homage to JRPG classics like Skies of Arcadia.
That's what it looks like.
Yep, it sure does, which is very, very exciting. It looks really cool. It looks like it's that kind of like ship versus ship combat. You have like a flying around an open world thing, and when you get into battles, it looks like it's that Skies of Arcadia ship v ship thing. Looks really cool. Graphically looks very much like a Dreamcast game, and that kind of very bright colored, big chunky polygon sort of thing. This looks really neat. I'm going to put this on my list of 2024 games I don't have time for right now, but I can't forget about.
I don't think I've heard of this one before, so...
Yeah, I haven't heard about it until when I was doing show notes here today, but Sky Ocean's Wings for Hire looks pretty cool, and I don't think we're ever going to get another Skies of Arcadia thing, even not like a gentle remaster, which I think they're really missing an opportunity here. So it's nice to see that, like we've talked about for a while, of indie developers or smaller developers just saying like, I'm going to go make a Contra. I'm going to go make a Star Fox. I'm going to go make a Skies of Arcadia. I'll do it myself. You know, that sort of thing. So that's cool. Sky Ocean's
Hopefully this
Wings
will
for Hire.
spur whoever owns the rights for Skies of Arcadia to be like, huh, that made a lot of money.
Sega, maybe?
That's what I think, too. I think they've held on to it this entire time. But
I wouldn't be surprised, yeah. Next game here, Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. Comes out PS5, Series Consoles, and PC with its 4,310 characters available in the game. All you need to know about this is it's basically the next Budokai Tenkaichi game. It's very much one of those. It's over the shoulder, kind of third person beat 'em up, and it has, I don't know how many hundreds of characters they've been announcing over the last couple of months, but it looks very much like those games. These games are cool. They're not for me, but I'm always really jealous of people that really get into these, because it seems like one of those games you can just play for like the next 5 years with how much stuff is in it. These games are cool. So I love Dragon Ball Z, but something about these games has never really completely clicked with me. So it's cool. Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, which is also a really great title. We talked about earlier Metaphor Fantazio. That comes out here this week, PS4, PS5, Series Consoles, and PC. I don't think it has an Xbox One release, but don't quote me on that. So, we just talked about the demo. We just talked about all that. It comes out this week. So, go check that out. Backyard Baseball 97 comes out on PC. If you remember the infamous, maybe famous for some people, what was it called? Backyard Kids, the like Flash baseball game. They're making largely kind of like a remastered version of this that you can play without having to find some way to install Flash nowadays. So this seems really cool. It seems like it's literally the same game it was before, just now on PC in kind of its own separate package. So that's cool. Nice to see people.
That brings up a lot of memories.
Yeah, just seeing footage of this is like, oh yeah, man, I put a bunch of that. Yeah, so that's Backyard Baseball 97. And last but not least, Starship Troopers Extermination Comes out PS5, Series consoles, and PC. This is the co-op first-person shooter, and they are making a really big deal in all of the press releases and stuff that this is a up to 16 player FPS game.
Yep.
So it's like a little hard
to
find gameplay of this, but that's an interesting idea on paper for sure.
Yeah, so, apparently they wanted to make a Helldivers version of like this came out or was being made on the same time as Helldivers 2. And from what I was hearing, they have a lot of things in common, but also Helldivers is pretty much just Starship Troopers anyway.
Right.
So they're not, it's not one of those. It's like, oh wow, that was a quick turnaround for Helldivers knockoff. No, it's been in development for a little bit, and it sounds like people who have played it at shows and stuff had said it's like, it plays well. But yeah, like you were saying, it's hard to really find anything about those.
Yeah, I do remember them talking about it. I don't know, like 2 years or so. It was in one of those like PC Gamer Expos or Future Games Show or something like that. Like it wasn't at, I don't think it was at like PlayStation or Xbox, but it was one of those things of like, yeah, okay, you want to make a Starship Troopers shooter? Sure, yeah, why not? That makes sense. Yeah,
I think they also came out with like a Starship Troopers RTS a year or two ago as well. Maybe it was a little bit longer now.
Or was that in early access maybe? Or am I getting that confused with the Dune one? Yeah, you're right. There was some other game like that too. It's the same thing with the Terminator games. It's like 3 companies are making Terminator games at the moment. I never know which one is which. So, yeah, I don't know. Starship Troopers Extermination looks okay. Yeah. That could be all right.
I can only imagine the crap you can get into with 16 people. I mean,
yeah, I couldn't. Torek in chat is right that it's giving big Earth Defense Force vibes. Yeah, I feel like that's the thing. If you want to put 16 people into a Starship Troopers game, that's kind of, you want that level of like stupid chaos, and I say that with love. That's what you want that game to do. So, yeah. All right, that's our episode. I didn't put any news series here because I want to edit this episode and go lay down. So you can visit us at tvgp.tv. Everywhere to find and follow us is on the right-hand side of the page. Don't forget to go visit us at patreon.com/E1M1.
The ones are numbers.
The $5 a month tier is the recommended tier. Anything above and beyond that is greatly appreciated, especially telling your rich friends and saying, like, it's only like $50,000 a month. No big deal. If you can't support us financially, totally understand. Best way, go like, comment, subscribe over in the YouTube channel. Reminder that we have video versions of every show that goes on the public feed, so you can get all of that over there. If you want to see, the footage of the games we're talking about, releases, we're playing the trailers in the corner too, so you can get see our beautiful faces, of course, naturally. Get all that over there, and don't forget to like or rate and review the episode wherever you can on whatever podcatcher you're listening to these shows on. That stuff really does help, not only this show but any other podcasts you really love and listen to. We really appreciate your support over the years. The show is nearing its 17th birthday, and I know a lot of people have been listening and reviewing and enjoying the show for the show's entire life. We do greatly appreciate it. We'll hope we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.
All right, Nimp. Him. What titles do you have for this week?
I have About an Hour, For the Honor of Your Family, New Game plus Hit Me Harder Difficulty, and Save the Fantasy Racism.
All right, I have. I also wrote down New Game plus. Social media is weird. I don't want more weapons, and the one that gets my personal vote is it's a Western RPG.
Torek also has You Want That Level of Stupid Chaos?
Yeah.
I'm fine with it's a Western RPG as well.
Yeah, I like that Stupid Chaos one, but I think it's like a smidge too long, and I don't know how to shorten it. without kind of losing the punch of it. All right, I've circled It's a Western RPG.
I am ready to go.
All right. Starting in 3, 2, 1. This is That Video Game Podcast, episode 885 for October 7th, 2024. It's a Western RPG.
You know, there's a banging whistle solo in there somewhere.
All right. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening and watching. We do greatly appreciate it. We'll hope we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.